thank you so much for joining us. We're back with another University Observer 2022 SU election interview. Today I'm joined by Martha Ní Riada, who is one of this year's education officer candidates. Martha, you are fourth year law with social justice student, if I'm correct. How are you feeling about being in the only contested race of the year?
I think it'd be better if there's more contested races, but I'm very excited to be in a contested race. It makes it a lot more exciting. It's much more reflective of people care, and me and Dara really both care about what we're doing, and we both would love to be elected, and it makes it a lot more beneficial, I think, to the students if there's a contested race, because then they have choice in who they want, and it really just makes us think really long and hard about exactly what we want to do. Is it achievable? Can we do it? And how we're going to do it.
What experience do you have that qualifies you for the position?
I think the experience I have that qualifies for me is academically I have I've done a lot of research in education areas. I was on the Students as Partners research project, which was in conjunction with the UCD School of Sociology and social justice, and we did focus groups with students. We did surveys. It was just a big thing to in a UCD setting how Students as Partners would work. And then also, as I mentioned, I'm the Academic Advisors Strategy Group member, so we're trying to improve the academic advising programme in UCD, and through that we've also done focus groups with nearly, I think about 70 students now at this stage, and then we did surveys where we surveyed the whole student body in the Sutherland School of Law, and we also are doing presentations with the staff. So I have a lot of experience of, obviously everyone has personal experience of the education system UCD just by nature of being a student in UCD, but I also have experience working with staff and students on researching it, and then also as social secretary I have experience with societies, because I think they play a really important role in our education and in trying to improve it and make it more of a holistic experience, and student societies are a major part of that.
What are three of the main issues that UCD students are concerned about?
Well, I think in what I see in education, one of the main issues is equity of opportunity. I've kind of touched on that slightly, that certain people have access to internships, work experience, because they can afford to do them for no pay, and I think that's a major issue across Ireland for students, not just in UCD but across the nation, because it's such a the job climate is so it's so difficult to get a job. Now it's we're so highly educated that it's not enough to just have a degree. You have to have a master's, or you have to have all this experience. You have to have nearly 10 years worth of experience when you're finishing your degree, which is insane and completely unrealistic. But then if certain people, through connections or because their class, they're able to work for free, do internships for free, they get a distinct advantage over other people. And also it's really difficult for people to know how to what to put on their application form. I've applied for over 30 internships at this stage, and it's just so difficult if you don't have the knowledge from family or friends, or I don't know, from your school, or you don't come from a certain area. It's very difficult to get into these courses, and I think that's something really, really important that I would like to work on and I would like to improve for UC students.
Do you think this year has been a good year for engagement with the SU?
No, I think the engagement really needs to be improved, but I think on a whole, throughout college, throughout everything, I think engagement with higher education institutes, we've seen this in societies, we've seen this in even lectures, students are just not as engaged as they used to be pre-COVID.
What would be your plans to increase engagement if elected?
Well, one kind of major thing that I'd like to do is I'd like to organise a creative showcase. So this would kind of focus on platforming artists, musicians, spoken word poets, films, lots of just anything creative at all, and kind of create a space for students to come together and have this creative outlet and to just show what UCD has, because I think a common theme in UCD is it's the arts are extremely undervalued, and UCD isn't a business, but like it goes on like that. And I think that by having this outlet for students, I think it will kind of boost engagement and allow people that maybe don't have a space in UCD to feel like they can come together, and like for students to collaborate on it. And I think it just would be a really nice experience. And like it is a major, like you might say, what the hell has this got to do with education?
Yeah.
But like I think that like the creative side of it like massively plays like hugely into like jobs and like what we do. Like if you're creative, your like possibilities are limitless, but it's just seriously undervalued.
How would you rate the performance of programme offices throughout UCD?
I think they do a good job, but like there's always room for improvement. There's always more that can be done. And like also I think like it varies a lot between programs, but like I think that everyone like thinks that they're doing the best they can.
How would you rate the clarity of academic information given to students regarding exams, research, registration, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I don't think it's clear enough. Like I think communication within UC is like a major issue. I think that we aren't given enough information on supports or on exams or on resits. Like it's very confusing. And even like within, if you go to like your academic advisor, or you go to anyone in UCD, like if you go to them for support, it's just a lot of them are confused as well. Like it just seems like there's a lot of overlapping issues that need to be clarified. And I think that's something definitely that I'd like to work on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. What do you think of Susie as a support?
Like, I think Susie is good, but I think it needs a lot of reform and it needs to be increased. Like, the amount of support that's given through Susie isn't enough.
Yeah.
And like it hasn't changed in like, I think this year it changed slightly, went up slightly, but like before that hadn't changed in years. Like it went down during the recession and then they just simply left it, and we're like, cost of living, who knows, that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Like as we know, like it's astronomically expensive to live in Ireland and Dublin specific. So like I think that like Susie needs a lot of reform.
Kind of, I suppose, jumping off from that question, what do you think is one of the biggest barriers to education in UCD for prospective students?
Well, like I think there's so many barriers.
Yeah.
Like obviously like cost, like it's so expensive to like, the fees are so expensive, the resit fees are so expensive, the accommodation is so expensive, the like food is so expensive, like everything is just so unbelievably expensive.
Yeah.
And then also I think it's like UCD also has a reputation, and some lecturers aren't as like welcoming to certain students, and it's just, if you're anyway like different at all, it's difficult to be a student in UCD, I think.
Okay.
And I think we need more like inclusion in general. Yeah.
What do you think of the quality of the service offered by the Access Centre?
Like I think it's good, and I think the Access programme makes a lot of sense. Like it's so helpful to students, and like I know like some of my friends came through the Access programme, and it just helped them so much. But I think there is like a lot more to be done by UCD to, like, the Access programme is great, like the Here programme, the Dare programme, like they're all really good things to have in place, but it's kind of, you're a bit abandoned once you get into college, and once you've kind of gone through these programs, like you can always come back to like the Access and Lifelong Learning Centre, like you can come back and you can ask them, but like I feel like it needs to be integrated into the wider UCD society and by lecturers, and I think everyone needs to be aware of this and to understand that like everyone isn't coming from the same background. Everyone hasn't just done the Leaving Cert, or everyone hasn't come from like a grade school or come from somewhere where like they're really prepped for this sort of thing.
Do you know what your budget would be next year?
I don't know. I think it's, no, I'm not gonna speculate.
That's okay. Hypothetically, do you know, even not even to assign figures, but how you would plan divvying that up in terms of what would be some of the main focuses that you would really want to prioritize and stuff like that?
Well, I want to like create a booklet that like highlights the academic supports within, but like specifically for each faculty, so that like the academic supports and also like the like welfare supports that are available for you, because like each faculty kind of have slightly different like mechanisms in place, and also there's a lot of confusion, like again with the communication you see, there's a lot of confusion between who you're supposed to go to for what, and like what the idea is. So like I'd like to meet with like the heads of schools and be like, so who do you want for this, and who do you want like, and to actually have this all written down on paper in like a short like reference guide, so students can just look at this and be like, okay, perfect, I have this problem, I'm going to go there. Like I'd love some like flow charts and stuff in it as well. But yeah.
I know you want to focus a lot on like unpaid internships and the kind of, you know, inequality in that in terms of access for all students. How would you plan to like approach that on like a more national level, just in terms of trying to make that as like equitable across the board?
Yeah. See, like I'd like to work with, like, see then this is where the USI comes in. Like I would like to work with other student unions across Ireland, and like other groups, because like it's not, like it's a really like nuanced issue. Like there's so many problems within it. Like it's like, as a woman going for an internship, as someone of colour going for an internship, as someone that's gay going for an internship, like there's so many like different areas. So I would like to work with like a vast range of people and to get as many voices as I can on it, because like I'm not the person that knows the most about all these issues. Like there's other people that are far more qualified and that know lots more, so I would like to like get them engaged and get a good group of people like behind it. But yeah, like I would like to also like lobby government, because like I think like the government can bring in like legislation to enforce this and like workers' rights, because that's another issue with like internships and unpaid labour in general. But like I think that it kind of needs to be a change in society where we value students and we value the work done by students. And the same as like the work done by nurses. Like it's just something major that's, I think, lacking in society and just kind of left.
Given the importance placed on diverse pathways, is there anything that you believe is missing from like standardized classroom settings within the university? Like anything that the university are failing to engage with, in your opinion?
Like a lot. I think there's like major room for improvement in like even small things, like the fact that like there isn't plugs in a lot of like lecture halls is like a major thing that inconveniences so many people. And then also like if you've any sort of disability at all, like UCD is so unaccommodating, and like even some of the lecture halls, it's like really hard if like you can't concentrate for a long period of time, if there's something like inhibiting you, or even like if you just had a long day. Like it's like with like the Newman theatres are so like stuffy. But also like it's hard to the like a lot of the teaching styles of some of the staff is very just one note, like lecture slides, talking to the like lecture hall, and like there's really very little engagement. And like I think that's like, I don't even know who that suits, to be honest, but like I think a lot of people that doesn't suit their learning style, it just doesn't suit them. But yeah, like I think like UCD has a lot to improve in its like inclusion of different people from different backgrounds and from that might have issues with certain things. Like it's just kind of, I think it's just a bit ignored, to be honest. And yeah. So yeah, they have a lot to do.
Well, that's all the questions we have for right now. Thank you so much for joining us.